It was late, far past midnight, when Emily finally decided to settle into bed after a long day of unpacking. The house, an old Victorian, had been in her family for generations, but she had never lived there herself. The previous owner, her estranged aunt, had passed away a few weeks ago, and now it was Emily's turn to breathe life back into its dusty halls. The house was massive, with creaking floorboards and a labyrinth of rooms she had yet to explore. The air always felt heavy, like it was holding on to secrets, and the old wallpaper in the hallways seemed to sag as though it were exhausted by the weight of time. That night, as she lay in bed, the silence was broken by a soft, almost imperceptible whisper. She froze. It was so faint she wasn't sure if she had imagined it. She strained to listen, her breath caught in her chest. Whisper, "Help us!" Emily's heart began to pound. The house was old, yes, but she was used to old houses. She had grown up in a smaller one, and it had creaked and groaned in the night too. But this felt different. She pushed herself up in bed and glanced toward the doorway. The dim light from the hallway bled into her room, casting long shadows on the walls. The whispers grew louder now, more distinct, almost like they were coming from within the walls themselves. "Whisper, please! Help us! She's still here?" A cold shiver ran down her spine. Emily wasn't sure what to do. She wanted to ignore it, chalk it up to the house settling, or perhaps even the wind outside, but something told her this wasn't just a draft or a creak. The voice, if it could even be called that, felt too real. Her mind raced through the history of the house, her aunt's strange behavior toward the end of her life, the locked room at the end of the hallway, the room they never spoke of. Emily had always been curious, but her aunt had always warned her never to go in there. Whisper, "Come find us, we are waiting, come find us." Unable to resist, Emily swung her legs over the side of the bed and stood. The floorboards groaned under her weight, as if the house itself was aware of her every move. She tiptoed toward the door, her hand trembling on the doorknob. The air in the hallway was suffocating, as though it was holding its breath, waiting. With a deep breath, she opened the door. Inside, the room was pitch black, despite the moonlight streaming through the cracks in the curtains. She stepped in, her footfalls echoing in the stillness, but when her eyes adjusted to the darkness, she saw something that made her blood run cold. The walls, covered in old, peeling wallpaper, were moving. "Whisper, help us, help us!" They were coming from within the walls, but they weren't coming from anywhere near the surface. No, they were coming from deep within, as though the walls themselves were alive, as if something was trapped inside. And she saw it, a shape. A faint silhouette in the corner of the room, standing perfectly still. Her heart stopped. It was her aunt, but it wasn't. Her aunt's face was twisted, pale and gaunt, eyes wide with terror, mouth frozen in an eternal scream, and she was staring at Emily as if begging for her to understand. The walls seemed to pulse, and then the whispering stopped. Voice. "You shouldn't have come." Emily's body went cold. Before she could react, the door slammed shut behind her, plunging her into complete darkness. The last thing she heard before everything went silent was the soft whisper from deep within the walls. "Whisper, now you're one of us."